The Cleveland Browns find themselves at a pivotal crossroads late in the season, navigating a mix of uncertainty, high-stakes decisions, and long-term planning. With the team well out of playoff contention and the future of the most important position in flux, the final stretch of games is no longer about wins and losses. It's about evaluation, strategy, and finding a way forward after a year filled with turbulence and missed opportunities. My role here is to bring you all the latest news firsthand, so come along and click the like button, and if you're a true fan, comment, "Go Browns!" Deshaun Watson is officially back at practice. The Cleveland Browns opened his 21-day return window, and with that, the most polarizing conversation surrounding the franchise reignites. Should Watson see the field again this season? Let's cut through the noise. The Browns aren't playing for anything in 2025 but a high draft pick. Sitting at 3-9, there's no playoff push on the horizon, no miracle turnaround to believe in. So if it's not about winning games now, why would the team even consider giving snaps to a quarterback who's owed $46 million a year and hasn't looked like his old self in a long time? The answer, however brutal it sounds, is business. Pure and simple. If there's any shot at trading Deshaun Watson after this season, and yes, that's the Browns' best-case scenario, the only way to make that happen is to put him on display. Let the league see if there's anything left. Because as it stands, nobody's biting on a quarterback with a twice-injured Achilles, a declining skill set, and an astronomical cap hit unless they see with their own eyes that he can still move, throw, and command an offense. Even one solid game could be enough to get a desperate GM thinking he's worth the gamble. But this approach doesn't just risk fan outrage, it guarantees it. Watson stepping onto the field at home in a meaningless December game would be met with boos louder than any touchdown cheers. And yet, front offices around the league know what the Browns know, that NFL franchises are always one quarterback injury away from making a call they swore they never would. If Cleveland can sell Watson as a maybe rather than a sunk cost, they might be able to offload a contract that's become one of the worst in NFL history. Meanwhile, fans aren't just fed up with Watson. They're frustrated with the carousel of quarterbacks that spun so fast this season it's hard to keep track. Remember when Kenny Pickett was rumored to be the next man up? He's now with the Raiders. Joe Flacco? Shipped off to the Bengals, of all teams. That left rookie Dillon Gabriel, who was thrust into action way too early in Week 5 and quickly exposed. 6 starts, 1 win, under 60% completions, the writing was on the wall. And now, it's Shedeur Sanders' turn. Sanders is set to start his 3rd consecutive game in Week 14, and his record sits at 1-1. He's not blowing anyone away on the stat sheet, and yes, his completion percentage is a concern. But what he brings to the field is a spark, a much-needed jolt of energy that this offense desperately needed. His biggest gripe? Trust. Lack of time, reps, and belief from the coaching staff. And can you blame him? The Browns had him buried as the 4th quarterback on the depth chart for most of the season. 4th. On a team that has now had 8 quarterbacks counting against the 2025 salary cap. And it's not just media spin. Sanders himself let it slip in a press session, talking about the challenges of building rapport with teammates on the fly, being expected to lead without having built the trust that usually takes months to establish. "You just go out there and take risks," he said. "It is what it is." That's not exactly Stefanski's brand of coaching philosophy, but it's Sanders' reality. And for fans, it's a glimpse into the chaos behind the scenes, a rookie quarterback essentially saying, "They didn't give me a chance until now, and now I'm being told to figure it out on the fly." Let's also not forget, the Browns didn't invest a high pick in Sanders. He was a 5th rounder. Gabriel? A 3rd. These weren't cornerstone draft picks. These were lottery tickets, and so far, they're not cashing out. But that doesn't mean the Browns are ready to give up, or that they should. Because even if neither is the future, getting them reps now builds trade value. If nothing else, it gives scouts across the league more film to evaluate. It's not about building a contender in 2025 anymore. It's about setting up the draft war room in 2026. And that's where things really get interesting. The Browns are eyeing the 2026 NFL Draft as their reset button. This year's quarterback drama? Just a long prelude to what comes next. Watson, Sanders, Gabriel, none of them are expected to be the guy when the Browns walk to the podium next April. That job will go to someone not currently on the roster. Someone who might just be playing in college right now. So every snap, every start from here on out isn't about winning, it's about gathering information. Who might be trade bait? Who's worth keeping as a backup? Who's a lost cause? Still, fans are justified in asking, how did it come to this? A once promising roster now defined by indecision, patchwork plans, and a quarterback room that looks more like a revolving door. And yet, through the dysfunction, there's still a flicker of hope. Not for 2025, but for what lies beyond. So here's the real question for Browns fans. With Deshaun Watson back on the practice field and the future of the quarterback position still a mess, do you want to see him take the field again this season? Or has that ship sailed for good? Because if you believe that ship has sailed, you're not alone. A large section of the Dawg Pound has already emotionally moved on from Deshaun Watson. And honestly, so has the team, at least in the ways that matter. While he might still be taking snaps on the backup field and technically holding a roster spot, the direction of this franchise clearly points elsewhere. That elsewhere is the 2026 NFL Draft. It's not just a lifeline anymore, it's the only lifeline left. The cold truth? Watson will still be on the books next season. Guaranteed money ensures that. But keeping him on the roster and actually believing he can be the guy again are two very different things. One is financial. The other is football. And the Browns can't afford to make football decisions based on accounting. If they did that in 2022, they wouldn't be in this mess to begin with. This is about finally taking the long view. Being honest about where the team is, where it failed, and where it can still go. Which brings us back to Shedeur Sanders. He's now facing Cam Ward in Week 14, the very quarterback who was selected number 1 overall in the 2025 draft. This isn't just a game. It's a direct comparison. Two young signal callers from the same class. One labeled a franchise savior, the other buried on the depth chart until the season was all but lost. For Sanders, this is personal. For the Browns, it's practical. If he outperforms Ward, even in a low-scoring game, it says something. If he can handle the Titans' defensive pressure, hold his own against Jeffrey Simmons in his grill, and still make plays, that might just nudge his value a little higher heading into the offseason. Don't misunderstand, Shedeur isn't about to steal the job for 2026. That seat will likely be reserved for a first-round quarterback next April. But what he can do is force the front office to think twice about cutting him loose or relegating him to irrelevance. Maybe he becomes a trade chip. Maybe he's kept as a developmental number 2. But every snap, every rep, every scramble counts. Especially when the organization is desperately trying to extract value from a season already circling the drain. Same goes for Dillon Gabriel. He had his shot earlier in the season, and it didn't go well. The numbers were bad, the tape was worse. But he's still on a rookie contract and came in as a third-round pick. That still carries some weight in the NFL, for now. Whether the Browns keep him around his depth or try to move him, any minutes he sees between now and Week 18 are about auditioning, for Cleveland or for someone else. The quarterback chaos in 2025 wasn't just a series of bad breaks. It was the result of a lack of long-term planning. Drafting 2 quarterbacks late doesn't solve anything when you don't build the infrastructure to support them. That includes a veteran mentor, a consistent coaching philosophy, and most importantly, a vision. Flacco could have been that bridge. But the decision to ship him off and shuffle through rookies without direction only exacerbated the situation. And what about head coach Kevin Stefanski? His seat isn't exactly cool. His decision-making at quarterback, pulling starters, rotating rookies, trading veterans mid-season, paints the picture of a coach searching for answers in real time, not one executing a well-structured plan. That kind of instability trickles down. You see it in Sanders' comments. You feel it in the fan base. And you witness it every Sunday on the field. But there's still one clear move to stabilize this mess: identify the 2026 QB1. And the path to that starts by resisting the urge to cling to the past. Don't start Watson just to prove a point. Don't chase meaningless wins. Don't waste reps on quarterbacks who aren't in next year's plans. Use the time left in 2025 to collect data, test your rookies under real pressure, and most of all, prepare to make the right decision in April. And that means scouting quarterbacks now like your franchise depends on it, because it does. Whether that's targeting a top name like Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, or whoever rises in the pre-draft process, the Browns must be aggressive, calculated, and all in on their future signal caller. No more half measures. No more expensive gambles. This next pick must hit. Until then, the rest of the season is about setting the stage. That's the harsh truth. And it's one fans deserve to hear. This season is gone. The next one begins now, with every snap Shedeur Sanders takes, every throw Dillon Gabriel makes, and yes, even every practice rep Deshaun Watson gets as the team quietly shops him around. There's no sugarcoating it. The Watson trade was a disaster. But that doesn't mean the franchise is doomed. It just means it has to be smarter now than it's ever been. There's still time to get this right. Still time to build something around a quarterback fans can believe in. But the Browns have to prove they've learned from their mistakes, not repeat them. So if you're a Browns fan watching this unfold, here's what you should be asking. Are we finally turning the page, or are we about to run it back with a quarterback room we already know can't get it done? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Should Deshaun Watson see the field again? Has Shedeur Sanders shown enough to be kept in the mix for 2026? And is this front office finally ready to do what needs to be done? If you want more exclusive Browns updates like this before they hit the mainstream, make sure you hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and check out the next video on your screen right now. The latest news and real talk about the Browns, you'll only find it here. Go Browns!